idea for today's talk was to not talk about a specific project or a topic, but to talk about this overall journey that a designer takes from being interested in design, then studying design, and then practicing design. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share like how I was collecting bits and pieces of my learning with you all, and hoping that that'll be helpful for you to know. So what I realized was
it's not working.
Yes. Okay. So what I realized was finding your own process in design industry is really important. Finding the tools that you be using. Okay, I think we'll go with yeah. Next. Yeah. Are we good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so finding your process, finding your tools, finding the people you want to work with, next, finding your projects, finding your voice in design industry, and then eventually your journey, right? So this is what I figured out, like in the industry, eventually I need to have a set of characteristics that I get to know for, like how people will start realizing, okay, I have this kind of a project and I want somebody who can do this. And then for certain type of projects, I want to be the one who comes in mind, right? So yeah, I'll share like my learnings from that, but before that, a bit of introduction, a quick one. So my journey in design was a very typical one where you're interested in art, you want to do like you like drawing, and then you think design is like a better field, so you eventually like go to a design college. And so I started my design journey at IIAD, and then after that I worked with a couple of studios like Lopez Design, illustrative, and November at the moment. Next. So design education was really different for me, like what I thought I'll be learning how to create these trending graphics and all. But for the longest time, I couldn't understand what exactly are they teaching me, right? Like I got briefs like, okay, there are food stalls in a railway station and they are facing some problem, let's fix it. And then we had to spend like endless discussions on figuring out how to do, what to do, all of that. And then what I realized was that there's no design, like there's no formula to design outcome, but more than that, it's a lot more personal influences that play a role. So for an example, like all the designers that I got, like I knew were working well in the industry. So I saw a lot of personal things like what's happening in the world, what recent movie you saw, what does your friend think of your work, some luck, what were your iterations and stuff like that. All these personal influences were basically, are basically responsible for design outcome. And that is where I decided, okay, I need to kind of like step down like from the formula or like a formulated way of design learning, but figure out my strengths and my weakness in the industry, right? So I chose communication design because I thought like it'll give me good amount of scope to, like try different mediums, try different projects, and it did actually work out really well for me. Yeah, the moment I stopped this. So we did a lot of letter construction where we're basically redrawing each letter, like it's letter after letter we're drawing and we're converting into font. Then we're doing a lot of motion graphics, stop motion, all of that stuff. Then we did a lot of print making, logo types and all of that. Then we did a lot of branding, brand strategy, system design. And then just trying different random tools and figuring out, okay, can this achieve my style or not, right? Now, after doing all of those, like I was at this moment where maybe the right step is to specialize, right? Like I studied a bit of all of these things. Now my best step is to specialize in something, right? Like should I become like a typographer or should I become a font engineer? But I was not able to decide. So I thought, and then what I started focusing on was this combination of skills. If you can go next. So if you think about it, motion and sound, they do complement each other, right? I started realizing if I know motion and if I learn sound, I'll do better motion, right? Similarly, if you go next, space and sound. Like a lot of exhibition designers, like they pay a lot of attention on sound because they both complement each other. So instead of like, just like blindly following skills, I started being careful about picking skills that I want to learn and what is this combination that I want to build for myself. So if you see all these, like together they do complement each other like that is how I started building the skill set that I wanted to have in the industry. So, but then like again, I came to a situation where I had like 4 or 5 of these skills, and I don't know how to like master them, like how do you maintain the quality. And it's a weird statement to say, but trust me, till date, 70% of my outcomes are coming from foundation. And I've seen like most experienced designers also, they're discussing foundation topics like crazy for endless hours. So that is where I felt like foundation, I wish I could study it again, but I still feel like if you are working in different mediums, if you have cracked foundation, like you can maintain quality like in whatever medium you work on. And then after college, like this is the scary part, right? Where you literally type in Google, okay, what do I do next? Where can I earn more? What are these salaries? What are these job roles? And what I saw a pattern in my batch, there were people who were very clear about what role they want. And then there were people who were very clear about what project they want to do. And I was in category B, where I was very clear about these projects that I wanted to do. And I started picking places accordingly. So I didn't want to join like a product company, but I wanted to join a studio where I get to do multiple projects. I get to try different mediums again. So I joined Lopez Design. If you can go next. So if you see there, within the span of like I think 2 years, I did projects starting from say branding to something like font customization to UI UX to motion graphics. Then we worked for different and then we worked on different industries like education, museum, fashion, all of these. And then one of them was IIAD, and then the reason why it's really favorite to me is because I think I remember like our work used to end at 7, but we'll still have endless debate on what to do, how to do, and that is where I think first time I was leading project like along with like definitely like main people in the firm, but we saw a lot of scope and we had fun in doing every single thing, like even be it like this small enamel pin, we spent like a day discussing is it working, and we had fights on is it working or not. So it was really fun and close to me. But moving on, I think what I've done here is, so it's just like a timeline of different projects I did, and I've kind of like picked 4 projects to highlight. As you see, at project 1, I was a junior designer. I helped with social media, I helped with print assets, I was helping in, identity and stuff like that. Project 2 was where we're doing identity, visual system, UI design. Project 3, where I was leading the graphic themes, and you're doing all of these things, starting from research to anything that's required to launch the brand. And project 4, where I'm doing like from the pitch stage to things that I've not tried. For example, I have no idea how, if a brand comes with like a problem, say I have this space and I want my website and this exhibition to sync in this way, I had no idea what tech stack you need, right? So there are things like, all these things kept on adding with project and project. And I think my aim of doing this was, I wanted to become somebody who's basically thinking about overall idea behind a project instead of somebody who's working on one medium, right? And I realized if I want to be that person who's going to be sitting in strategy meetings, who's going to decide, say the main tagline of the brand, like I need to have some knowledge in all these scopes so that I can guide a team to deliver that project, right? And hence I think this is my journey of doing these many projects and reaching to the point where I've tried things which I had zero knowledge, like in terms of, I had no idea how do you go about syncing digital and website stuff, for a brand. So yeah, moving next. Now comes the third part where once you have spent some time in the industry and you kind of like, this was the time where I was literally started getting paranoid by this whole idea of where briefs were basically getting similar after a point. Like clients like, मुझे brand manual में ये चाहिए, and I was not like able to figure out, okay, is this what I'm going to do for next 30 years, 40 years? And that is where I thought, like, if I want to push the scope, say, of branding or any brief that's coming, I need to kind of break away from what I've been taught. If we can go to the next slide. So I had this whole thought in my mind where how do we go beyond templates? What do we mean by that? Like as times are changing, can we change the dynamics of say a project, like say branding, right? Does it have to be those 7 things that are there in a brand manual? Like can we expand it? Can we have different ways of doing those? And I think just to take a break from the work that I was doing in daytime with like my workplace, I want to do something as experimental as possible just to see what all can be achieved. I knew like we are achieving like functionality, legibility, all of these things, but can graphic design do more? And that is what I was doing with like all random personal projects, and that is what I wanted to show because I felt that is where I started taking most of the decisions on, okay, I want to be this type of designer. I want to do these type of projects, right? So I'll just show like some random things. Like this is what we've been taught in college, right? And what I was like, okay, I've done this, but now what? What can graphic design achieve after this? Like, can it be felt? How can we make it more experiential and stuff like that? So yeah, can you play again? Yeah. So this was one example where I started using like illustration, which was out of my forte, space, music, all of these things that were out of my forte. You can go next. Again, try and say things like generative art or things like just custom typography, but I'm trying to kind of like achieve what I was not able to do with like say client projects. And I'm just trying to see, okay, where all can I take say just typography to. And then when I say like, how do you look for finding the people you want to work with, that is where this comes in play. So I was doing all these kinds of things where you're figuring out say a new motion behavior. And then there's Studio Dumbar. So there's Studio Dumbar, who's again like, that is where I clicked like, okay, maybe I need to find new people who are doing more experimental work. So this is Studio Dumbar, who was just looking for experimental motion behaviors. And what they did was they had around 4,000 screens across Amsterdam, and then they played these. And then that is where I realized, like there's definitely space for the work, kind of work that I'm doing. I just need to figure out like the correct people who I want to work with. Yeah, 1 minute. And then again, trying a different medium, like we were trying AR filters and stuff like that for space. So all of this is freelance personal stuff that I did while I was like figuring out, okay, what kind of client projects I want to take. And I think this kind of helped me in like streamline the choices. And then like I think this will be the last slide, but the idea here was I was a person who will never pick a book till if it like if it's not visual or if it doesn't have a lot of letter forms or posters and stuff like that. By mistake, I started reading this book which called Graphic Politics in Eastern India, and then believe me, I read this twice, and then I was like, what was I missing out till now? Like, if I'm interested in typography, how can I not be interested in scripts and languages and the politics behind that? And that is where I think this was a learning for me, where it's okay. Like, I think it's really needed to push yourself. Like, maybe this book will not be in a design school also, right? But like the whole idea of how it's interrelated to different streams other than just this design profession, and what role can you play? And then this lead me to studying all the scripts in India and then talking to people who are working, like say reviving the script or working for the community of the script. And I just felt, oh, I just opened a new door of opportunity for me. So yeah, I think, and after this point, like I am at this moment where I look at anything and everything that I feel can expand my horizons for in design industry. And yeah, this is where I am at right now. Like, these are the things that I've sorted, okay, this is what I want to do. Now, I don't know what is the next thing. Again, I'm going to figure out. But the idea of this talk was to say that each one of us will have these combinations, it will be a different combination. The idea is to figure out it so that we can know, okay, these are the people we want to work with, these are the projects we want to do. and eventually like mark yourself as a certain type of professional in the industry. And that has really worked well for me. So yeah, hope this is helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I think you can always reach out to me. One thing that I was really shameless in my student years was we didn't have like a lot of seniors in our college, so I'll reach out to really known designers, okay, and then I'll send an Instagram text like, hey, we don't have seniors and I'm lost, what do I do? And then some people really help. Like there's this person who made a WhatsApp group of some seniors, and then we're discussing my career choices. So never be shy of asking out, be it a software issue, be it what you want to do next. Just reach out, and it might eventually lead to a positive side, and you might figure out things. So yeah, thank you.